on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
Mark Vafiades, of course. How do you think you pronounce it? Of course it's Vafiades.
I had it the whole time, Larry.
I know you did. So did I. We should do a Canadian Parliament thing and delete all of the audio leading up till now.
The whole show.
We did not cheer the Nazi, and we did not mispronounce Mark Vafiades' name. Mark Vafiades is the Republican candidate for State Senate District 35, which is pretty much Fairfax County. And he joins us now. Mark Vafiades, thanks for being here.
Hey, I want to thank you. You guys pronounce my name perfectly.
Thank you. Clearly, you haven't been listening all morning. The website is markforva.com. And you know what everyone's going to say, Mark? It's like, well, Fairfax is just dominated by Democrats. You don't have a chance. Well, as you go knocking on doors and talking to voters, what are you hearing?
Well, you know, that's the thing. This is the perfect time for someone like myself, a Republican, to run, because most of the time, if you have to explain what the issues are, then you're going to lose. But the issues that I and my colleagues, my Republican colleagues, are running on are the issues that the voters are screaming from mountaintops that, you know, for people to listen to and to take heed to. And my issues, I mean, I'm highlighting three issues. It's education and parental rights, out-of-control crime and support for the police, and the cost of living and high taxes. These are the issues that all the voters have been telling us that they're most concerned about. Meanwhile, the Democrats are so out of touch. Their number 1, 2, 3 issues are climate change, police reform, which of course is defund the police, and equity, whereas we want to make things better for everyone. So that's kind of the difference. It's, you know, we've got the issues on our side in this election. And the 2023 election is considered an off-year election. So it's really, really low turnout. As a matter of fact, in the Democrat primary, I think only 11% of Democrats showed. So if our voters get out to vote, if we get the numbers up, we can win even in the blue districts.
Mark, I met you just a few weeks ago at a candidate forum. It was great meeting you. You have so much energy, and I'm really, excited about your candidacy. And I was really happy to hear that cost of living. That's something I feel like a lot of candidates don't talk about, but that is so core to people who are really struggling in this economy. Your opponent calls himself a climate champion, and you make a good point that instead of a champion of the people, he's a climate champion. Tell me a little bit about his record on that and how you really want to focus on energy costs being a part of why the cost of living is so difficult for people in this economic downturn.
Absolutely. Energy costs is one of the number one drivers of inflation, for example. And under Governor Northam and the Democrats, and this was something that my opponent really was pushing for, they passed what's called the Virginia Clean Energy Act, the Clean Economy Act, rather. And like all Democrat legislation, it is very deceptively named. The Clean Economy Act moves us towards, quote, green energy, and it forces the power companies, the electric companies, such as Dominion Power, to go all green energy. And that means getting rid of clean natural gas. It means getting rid of, clean coal plants and go strictly to wind and solar, which of course is not only very unreliable, but very expensive. So this drives that up hugely. And also another one that my opponent really was a proponent of is the EV mandate, tying Virginia to the California EV mandate, which dictates that by 2035, all cars sold in Virginia must be electric. And as we move towards that, by 2026, 35% of all cars sold in Virginia are supposed to be electric. And that is, again, very expensive, and just people just don't want electric cars, and the grid can't support it.
Right.
I want to ask you specifically, because you mentioned here, Mark, we're speaking with Mark Vafiades. He's running for the Virginia State Senate in District 35, Fairfax County. You mentioned parents' rights, and I'm all for parents' rights, and I think it's obviously, we've been sort of parents' rights central here for about 5 years now, I think, at least as this started to pop up. But I worry that people don't quite get the full impact of what that means. Yeah. And we've seen this play out. We just saw it play out in Richmond in the Assembly and then in the Senate. And this was a law that was being proposed by Republicans that would allow parents to know when teachers in Virginia were keeping sexual secrets with children behind their parents' back. In other words, a child goes up to a teacher or a counselor somewhere in school and starts talking about, sometimes it's the teacher that approaches the child about gender issues, sexual issues, and if they don't want their parent to know about it, the teacher will keep that secret. That's what we're talking about when we say parents' rights. And it was Danica Rome, a transgender Democrat who was running for the state Senate, who basically said Republicans who want parents to know about this are going to send kids to homeless shelters and to suicide if they enact this. I just want to be clear, and I'm sorry I'm sort of speechifying at you, Mark, but when you say parents' rights, I need every Republican who's running to explain exactly what parents' rights means.
Right.
Democrats want to take kids away from their parents if they don't affirm their gender change. That's what your opponents want to do. They've said as much.
You're absolutely right. It's insane. Parents should have primacy when it comes to their kids' education, the care of their children, and what's going on in their children's lives. And the schools, for some reason, the administrators and some of the teachers and the teachers' unions, for some reason, think they have primacy over parents when it comes to raising children.
It's not for some reason. It's Democrats. This is what Ralph Northam put in place.
Yeah.
This is what the Democrat leadership, and again, this Danica Rome, she's a member of the delegates now. She wants to be in the Senate. And Danica Rome will champion this even further. It is insidious. The reason is Democrats. It's their agenda.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. And Governor Youngkin and the Youngkin Department of Education here in Virginia put forth some new model policies, which basically says that parents do have primacy, and they're the ones who determine what happens. But in Fairfax County, the public school superintendent, Michelle Reed, has rejected that and said, no, we feel we're doing what's best for kids. We're going to continue our policies and basically ignoring parents and just throwing it right in their face.
The last issue that you really focused on is crime. This is it's really scary what's going on in our community, in especially in the district you're about to represent, which is around the Beltway in Springfield. How do you plan to tackle this issue?
Well, first of all, it's an issue that's really hits close to me. When I lived in California, I was a reserve Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy. I worked in patrol for 20 years. So I've kind of seen it firsthand. And with all the rhetoric that's been coming out of the mouths of Democrats, it makes people disrespect the police. And also, the Democrats are working hard in Virginia. Again, they call it police reform, but we know it's defund the police. It's the defund the police movement. And this makes it hard for police officers to do their jobs. It makes it so that, young kids who might be kind of on the fence as far as being troublemakers, it pushes them over the edge. It makes them disrespect the police. And that's bad not only for the police, but for them. Because if all of a sudden they're pulled over by the police righteously, and they start arguing and fighting with the police, that's not going to end up good for them or for the police in the long run. So we need to change the policies here in Virginia and everywhere so that we respect the police. The police, after all, are there to protect the citizenry from and keep them safe. So this whole defund the police movement is just so horrible for society and for the citizens.
Hold the House, flip the Senate. Hold the House, flip the Senate. Hold the House, flip the Senate. You got 6 weeks to go till Election Day. But, of course, voting is now. Now is the time to either vote or make your plan to vote. Mark Vafiades, thanks for joining us. It's markforva.com. Good luck with the campaign.
Thank you very much. Great to be on with you.
It's 8:15 now, WMAL.